nhớ rằng giờ phải sẽ đã cú yang mua lì rong xe theo cho nó này tì lọ cổng đã cú nè nó là gì cú rong xe cú cho con lúa tôi là cú thả giờ thả cho cái kiểu music nhớ đâu cái mong lu community thia graphic design thia và filmmaking cho khoa thì con nó chỉ nữ cú dạy từ musician nữ từ musician thia nữ do a lot of graphic design. He's really good at graphic design, as well as doing music videos, documentaries, and quite a few videos here and there. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen his work. And so, rong xén nó nào nên tiền là nó bị cổng ấy, nên cho chị tao subscribe nó là thằng chơi này ba subscribe được của channel nó thế follow của thế của một video tới channel là nên thì bỏ thế. Vậy nên đây rong xén của chia sẻ được ít thản nó thản là chơi này bảo còn đầu nó cũ thế. Thả hay cho cái music theo graphic design theo filmmaking nhớ đâu pelu community. So thank you very much, Kong. Welcome to my house, and thank you for taking the time to come in and sit down and have a conversation with me.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your house. You know, I'm not sure you remember, but this is way back to cú trường yếm nhiều so, and thầu cái trường qua golden path này, and bên mỗi tu year lâu này, lại thầu đây trong lại qua movie này lại distribute này. So I remember you guys coming to North Carolina back in the early 2000s, and trong này là ship ya cả say to tập bay lu chế này, trong cái tung ca này. That's the first time that I wouldn't say officially met you, but I saw you, and I know that, oh, hey, that's Mua Lee. And then back in 06, I think 06, 07, when you did that movie Do Lao Minnesota. That was the first time that I got a chance to meet you, and I came to buy a copy and take a photo with you. So I'll send you that photo.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, you and I think we know each other for a long time. We haven't really got a chance to sit down, you know, sit down and have a conversation. And I've always admired a lot of your works too.
Thank you.
Especially in your music and then your graphic design. It's always different.
Oh, thank you.
So once in a while I tell you, hey, you know, Kong, you did really good. You know, Hmong really have the eyes to see it, see the visual side of it, you know, and how you present it nicely. You know, but you are one of the few exceptions that are able to kind of get that through. So,
thank you.
I really like that. But yeah, so first of all, congratulations for the H&D Impact Award.
Oh, thank you. What's on?
Congratulations on showing like more award at the front end.
Yeah, thank you. I you know, the came I've never been a award person, you know. I've always been behind the scenes. I've always been the guy who pulled the strings behind the scenes, and you know, over the past 20 years, ever since I started to get involved with the community, also the arts, and just now to be recognized, to me, there's only a little reminder, a little push to say, hey, you're on the right path, and keep going. So that's how I kind of see, you know, receiving this Impact Award.
Yeah. Well, you really deserve it. You did make a lot of impact in the community, through your works and you know, you know, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. So tin này bao có con lord đó mà có nhiều cái gì là có luôn bị mong pronounce tiền này giờ đi chả con là giờ đi chả.
Yeah, group hay cho group bị mong mà nia con nhỉ. Con li mo hay li mong con này à?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Chỉ có ông li mong con nè. Đâu cũng mong đâu từ point là mo con nhỉ. Yeah, usually correct lại sao? This is đó là usually luôn về này à. This is luôn về mong của cô nhỉ, cô chỉ gửi tiền của mà con nè.
Okay, I see. Cô chỉ bao gồm về start là con là thế
gì?
Yeah, tôi có thể thầu bé hayว่า English lời chế này chế con nữa này. Okay, it's good to know. So going back a little bit, where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born in Fresno, California, in 1988, and then we were in Fresno, California until 91, 92. And then Bichi, Lauj, North Carolina, to Morganton, North Carolina, right outside of Hickory, North Carolina. So Bichi Law in 91, 92. And I've been in North Carolina ever since. Ever since then, I've kind of moved around for school. Undergrad, I moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, which is closer to the central North Carolina. And then the past 11, 12 years, I've been living in Raleigh. I moved there for grad school, and Raleigh, state capital of North Carolina.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been pretty much growing up in North Carolina
Yep,
most of
pretty
the
much.
time then.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Spent most of my life. I probably say the majority of my life in North Carolina. So, some people ask where I'm from and what's my hometown. Right. North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, I spent my teenage years in Fresno as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, big family. I was born in Laos, so
Okay.
but when we came to America, we came to Oregon.
Okay,
Then
okay.
in 79, so 82, yeah, we moved to Fresno. So Fresno, Fresno, so 97, cũng mà kia là Minnesota. But
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So what about college? Where did you go to college, and what major did you study in?
Yeah, so when I went to college, I went 06. I went to UNC Greensboro. Lúc trước là mà hay là mà UNC Saka, từ doctor, từ lawyer này.
Yeah.
And I did try being a lawyer. When I was a freshman, I did take some political science courses. And then I discovered that it wasn't for me. Because my heart was always in the arts. My heart was always in like designing, like graphic designer. Yeah. So I was like, I think that's the right path. So I applied to a design program at NC State University, and I got into it. And I did grad school there for 3 years, and then after that, I received my master's in graphic design. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've pretty much have been doing that
Ever
since then.
Yep.
And we'll get back to that. But what about music? I know that you and Shu, you guys are really gifted in music. So when did you realize that? Oh, okay, I have a love for music. Like, in terms of playing or singing and all that.
Growing up, music. Like I love listening to music. This my brothers, they were already in bands. So weekends I go to band practice with them. I go watch them. When they travel to Minnesota to play shows, I come with them. I'm kind of like the guy who carry their gears and sell their merchandise. And then
your brother's in Shu, right?
Yeah,
He's
Shu.
in
Yep.
Reflection, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So Shu.
Yeah.
So my older Fong, he's in Reflection, and then Shu played with Reflection for a little bit. But Shu's been in a lot of bands, and a lot of he's contributed to a lot of big names out there, like Thai Sounders. He a lot of local bands here in Minnesota too. He's a part of it. They had like a cousin friend band. They came up here to Minnesota for July 4th to play a show in Minneapolis. And then I was just they like the merchandise. So I just sat there and sold merchandise, and I just kind of observed that night, like, wow, music is very powerful. When someone goes on stage, the way that the way that they perform really makes someone go crazy. And to name them, on some sort of a drug, they can make that person scream their heart out and make them sad, make them happy, and then when we came back, we might that wow, that's very powerful. Yeah, music is a great form of art that it can inspire and can change people, depending on how you use that power. And then I came back with Musa, and then the next 2 years later, personal story. And then that summer, I remember we had this conversation on the phone that that conversation just kind of hit different. It makes you feel some sort of way. And then I was like, I approached my brother that summer, and I was like, hey, my brother Shu that summer, I was like, hey, go, like, can you make an instrumental for me, for the song? So he started to work on an instrumental for that song, and then he was like, oh, that's good. And then last summer, I came back home because that summer was the first summer I came back home after I went to college. So my brother and I, we've been separated for that whole year. So that was our way to bond, to do music. And then next one, and then and then by the end of summer, we had like 7-8 songs. And then we're like, what are we gonna do with that? And then my brother Shu, he was like, oh, much on MySpace, put it on MySpace and just let friends and family listen to it. So upload MySpace, and then all of a sudden we got really good feedback. People just started to come and listen. People wanted more. And then I still remember that day that we created our name, because my brother Shu, he was still working in the studio in my parents' garage, and I went to make a MySpace page, and then I was like, oh, called URL. What should we call the URL? And I remember coming back to the garage, and I was like, hey, Shu, what should we title MySpace? Huh? And Shu said, oh, just put the Calling Shu Project. Yeah. And ever since then, they stick with us ever since then. Yeah. Yeah.
Thảo ư chinh yêu lúa hai tia ư shi pi tia shi cú mua đi sai chi mua nương nghỉ cú cho từ khơi cho lũ dài hôn cho xia shi bùm mua ý nu mua tia.
And that's when you guys start. I remember you guys released a couple of CD too, right?
Yeah.
That's how it all got started. Then.
Yeah. So when we got those, we kept getting good feedback from the folks on MySpace. Because first month you your family friends, you thought that, oh, maybe they're just being nice, and then all of a sudden all these strangers, people we didn't know, they found us on MySpace, and then they started to comment and they started to share our music. And then when October came around, my brother Fong, who was our manager at that time, he was like, you know what, why don't we just put a CD together? Because at that time, my brother Fong, he was promoting other artists too. So he was like, why don't we just put a CD together and let's go out to Minnesota and let's sell the CD, and it was supposed to be a one-time deal, like we're supposed to do one time, go to Minnesota, sell CD, and just do something together to kind of bond, right? And and then the reaction was just like, wow, like I didn't know that this many people could relate to us, through music. And then after that, we were started to think about, what if we did a second CD? And then 2007 passed, and 2008 came around, and we released a single, because we were going to go to July 4th to go promote our previous album and the single. And then we made the single, and on that single CD, and then and people just really like it even more. And we're like, wow, that's a great reaction. So so you were like, let's keep going.
In trai mùa xưa từ tia ô luôn gạo tên luôn đau là on trai mùa xưa từ chỉ sau là bị lưu neng là bên trai mùa xưa tê mi tu mi nhỏ từ lọt ra
Now, what about speaking of music? What about Hmong? Do you think we can make a living even just throwing it on YouTube, or do you think that it's probably not going to be enough to sustain a living. What is your thought on that?
I think just in general, just like business in general, I think when it comes to making a sustained living, I think it needs to be multiple streams of income. Just kind of like when you're running a business and you need multiple streams of income to grow. And I think that's the same thing that's happening right now in Hmong in music. The Shinana Toima only stream income. I got by perform. They come more CD here.
Yeah.
This year after that CD phase, get your DVD. More stream income. You have to look for something else. But if you look at the mainstream, the Shinana, most of the money they're making is not coming from more CD or streaming.
Right.
It's coming from doing shows.
Yeah.
And I think that's the path that Hmong need to follow. And I think that's the reason why the Shina and our Hmong community entertainment industry, we see that happening so much now. We have to wait until Labor Day, Memorial Day, New Year to go to parties and concerts.
Right.
But now, every single weekend, there's almost a show.
Yeah. What do you think as far as music again? What do you think we can do to improve in terms of quality? So since we're talking about music, you're a musician and you're involved in that a lot in that aspect. Right now, we're able to play bây giờ cũng sẽ đi show thế này thế rồi cho nó thế bây giờ ít cho other Hmong bands rồi chỉ play tao zong hình là đó mà as far as bây giờ music now, instead of like doing it really quick and then put it on YouTube,
right.
What do you see that we can do it to improve it, to make it better?
I have my thoughts about this too. Some people may disagree with me, but I guess you could call me, I have more of an older soul. So I like to do things from scratch. I love to develop with everything I do. I like to do something where like, how are you able to express your creativity through the stuff in your own mind? Right. And I think that right now, I have nothing against your artists, or love by lease beats or love by buy beats, and I feel like that's like a tool for them. But at the same time, you're artists, and I feel like you need to push your creative boundaries. And what I mean by that is learn 3 chords, sit down, play a few chords, and let that creativity flow out. You know, because to me, talk by your beat ne tiana, take by least beat na, Johnny shortcut na. Generally le tu po cho kể tả na, cái chỉ là một trả chase na, nếu chỉ like make you think that you po cho kể what do I use, and when I drive on it, I'll be so proud that this is the road that I built with my own 2 hands. And some people call me traditional for thinking that way, but I feel like I say this because I want artists to really get the best out of themselves and push the creative boundaries. Because the Shinana, I just feel like there's 2 things. I think that some people, they call themselves itu artists. They're creating, but they're not fully creating. I think they fall more into a content creation perspective. And when I say content creation is that you're pushing stuff out, because you want people to see it, you want people to hear it. So, more quality control. And that's the reason why sometimes, and I don't blame them because they need to make a living, right? So they're pushing stuff out really quick. But at the same time, I think it's also stopping you from reaching your full potential as into creative, into artist.
And even nowadays, AI can generate a full song, even a Hmong song. I heard a few here and there, but the Hmong accent is still not there. It's way off. But I think, but that's not really real you, though. It's not even if you had let AI generate some instrumental music for you, and then you sing with it. It's not really you.
No, it's so true, because I have my own thoughts on AI too. I think that AI is coming, and I think it's important that we learn how to use AI as a tool. I like to compare it to you need to nail it, and you go to your tool shed and you take a hammer and you come back and use it. AI it doesn't solve the problem. This should back on
Right,
to get closer to your solution.
Right.
Nah, but I think that these days, some people, I always say that AI is not the finished product. It's just the tool to get you to the finished product.
Yeah.
Like for example, right, the Shinong, yeah, of course, it can generate songs, it can generate lyrics and stuff, but it doesn't mean that's the final product. But you could take that and throw your spin on it and reproduce something that may sound similar, but like it's you do, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think AI, like for example, like filmmaking, like guys like us. I mean, I cannot see myself using AI to make a full movie because that's not really me. That's not really me anymore. But probably to the point where, for example, I want to create some action shots, and for example, car crashes or something, you know, which I will never ever be able to do. Có mà mua có cho là combine thôi có stories, just create that scene for you, or in the background, you know, your actor running towards the camera, and then you see buildings falling down. On fire. It enhances what you want it to do, what you want it to accomplish. It can never replace you as a filmmaker of what you wanted to do. So I think in music it's the same. You have to kind of like put your own talent into it, and then perhaps certain things that you cannot accomplish as a mainstream musician would be able to do. I think that still retains the essence of who you are.
Yes, no, absolutely. Because
that's my philosophy, I think.
No, I totally agree with you, because it's kind of like how do I get across, or how do I jump over that? And if AI is the solution to fill that little gap, then use it it's like I said a while ago, it's a tool, right? This like 100%, like, that was fully generated AI, and now I'm putting it and say, and you play around, have fun and stuff, but if you're gonna put it out there and say that, it's mine. I have different opinions about that.
My thought on AI is, I mean, if you're just playing, if you're just playing around, generate some photos for fun, throw it on Facebook. I mean, I did that. Just kind of experimenting to see where it is. It's fine, but when you're doing serious stuff, I don't think it's not you anymore. So I want to put me into it, my own vision into it. I think music is the same. If I can encourage your musician, it has to be you, really uniquely you. Then it would be better. But from there, có xã giả sử họ focus to music to music, and then if you're gonna dump it on YouTube, you know, we go the easy route of just putting a picture on it, but a lot of us, we still do music video, you know. So let's talk a little bit about the visual aspects of it. What is your philosophy, and how important is it, do you think, to have a really, really good visual representation of your song, or a good visual presentation for the audience? Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on those.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think that the song, it call a different story, and then when the music video comes out, it's a different story. Right. You know, because to me, and in your mind, you just think about things like the same, their ideas and how they see things different, right? So that's how I see whenever but I think that being able, especially you direct a music video, and being able to take that and being able to put it in like a visual form, that's an art form in itself, right? My philosophy on that is, like, let's tell the stories of our time, right? What's happening right now. Like, there's nothing wrong with telling stories from back then, or going back in time, but what are the stories and issues that we are going through today in our relationships, that's taken in this modern time, you know? And then I also like the other perspective of thinking outside our universe and doing something more sci-fi,
Yeah.
where it's use your imagination.
Yeah.
That something is possible. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think, well, you're right. I agree in that we have to write songs and we have to create visual. The visual aspect of it has to be relatable to whatever generation we're at. Thirdly, like when for our generation, nó chỉ bé mong community bé chẳng mua chẳng có trong đi tìm lo tên là vậy.
Yeah,
Thái cho style Thái cho country music. Their version of country music
Yeah,
nó
yeah.
chỉ là hoa lúc thung này nè vậy.
Yeah, mà.
Chỉ bé cho Hmong singer chỉ they still into that. Thì bé Hmong cho nó những chuyện very popular. Rồi có thể mua cho li của age. Thì bé cho parents là có age là Hmong cho music này nè vậy. But I think those will slowly phase out too, because I mean, like I have my kids, teenage kids. They don't even the songs that I listen to, the Hmong songs. They do not. They I mean, they don't. They can't relate to it, you know, or even the poetic. Even they are very poetic, new rhyme like that. No, they just
Yeah.
they just don't get it. No,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think we have to kind of like at least slowly create music that are relate to our generation. Yeah, as well as the visual aspects of it too. I think like when back in my days when Su Tao and I, or when I went back and shoot videos, music videos, like you said, it's very simple, you know. It's very simple. I guess it's because of technology. Here, a lot of usยิ่งแลก creativity. Here, technology really do some of the flashy stuff that we can do now, but they're very simple. But we have to kind of like slowly climb up. Here, young people, including yourself, you guys did some really sophisticated music, video, and visually. I think that's the way to go. The old generation is going to be slowly phasing out. So would you agree? Would you encourage you encourage young people go, hey, you know, become your own, you know, do something that is it's more sophisticated.
No, you're absolutely right. I agree with you on that. I think it's the fact that when we grow up, that's all we see, right? So we think that a Hmong music video is supposed to be that way, or we hope that like we think that Hmong music video that's the furthest it can be pushed, because there are limitations, because cái chụp Hmong music video, hay cho like very passionate scenes, it's really rare that you see one, because I think because the Hmong has never been pushed that way, but I think once it's been pushed and it's done right and it's done correctly, I think that people, it will raise eyebrows and be like, oh wow, okay, like let's go that direction, right? Because you have to normalize it, you know, like kissing in music videos, or like making love in music videos, like you have to push those boundaries so people will feel comfortable and be like, oh, it's okay. It's done. The thing is, like, people have tried it, but it's because it has not been done right? So people are, oh, nu chiyong shai or nu sushia, because it's just like making films. You know, more that the director is the most important part of the video. Someone to be able to be like, do it again, or hey, it doesn't look right. So I think that, to me, that's one thing that we need to focus on too, is having a director or having directors that's able to direct.
You know, for me, because even though I'm the older generation, part of the older generation filmmakers, I try to keep up with what the latest trend is. And so in that way, music video, whether it be mainstream music video or films or whatever, music video, in a way, if it's too simple, then you lose interest. So I think younger generation, unless it's really visually interesting, as well as the song, you know, they can relate to. So I think we have to marry the two. Lack of a better word, we have to marry the two. Especially the big one on YouTube, more social media, where the visual part of it is really important. So I think I would encourage young people instead of like I mean, I think we still lack the funding
Yes,
to
yes,
really do it. But now, speaking of funding, professional level, and what would you say to our audience, perhaps corporate sponsors? We have big businesses now. What do you think? How do you think they can help us? Because we can't really go out there and make a really sophisticated or a really complex movie or a music, even just a music video or short film without a certain amount of budget. So besides being a filmmaker, we have to put our best into it too.
Yes,
but besides community, what are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the Chanel, I do see a lot more businesses like they sponsor music videos, they sponsor commercials. To the Shinana, I think we are in a different time where the Shinana, there's a lot of business owners and not just business owners, but like individual folks who are willing to donate and willing to contribute into a film project. But at the same time too, as filmmakers and as creators, we have to prove to them that that money that they're putting in is going to go somewhere worthy. Right. And I think that's the main point. I think a lot of people don't contribute and don't donate because when they think about donating and when they think about contributing, they think of films that they've seen in the past that has turned them off. Right. So I think that for us as creators, being able to build a good portfolio and a good reputation to say, hey, this is my work, this is what I stand for, and this is what the result that you will get if you donate your money.
Video artist I see that we have the potential to make something that is it's just way beyond I'm still trying to figure out how the how is it still has to be with a budget the monetary part of it the picture budget and so but I think if we are able to do that and then pay more good artists a few of the good artists or at least the popular ones we create really good music and then we bring all the visual production people behind it and then we create something that is just maybe is that something you also kind of like think too? I mean,
no, absolutely.
In terms of
I'm always looking at ways to how can I contribute, how can I help, and I think that I think to me the issue is that some people like
that's true.
When it comes to quality or when it comes to how much effort are they willing to put in to meet you halfway to get something like that done. And that's the reason why some people love a music video because they go to the same director who keeps giving them the same product but different song, right? You could give two directors the same script but they're going to do something different, right? And I think that's going back to your point is that we need more variety, like we need more filmmakers so that they can choose from that group instead of going to their friend who knows how to use a camera.
I think for me you're right, variety because I have my own style so if people saying the same style all the time people get tired. They want something new. So you're right in that. But I think it comes back down to let's say we are able to get like for example $50,000 budget, $100,000 budget to create a music video, 2 or 3 music video pieces for something to showcase talent. I think the way we would be able to do it is without because usually people, for example, I may see it a little differently, you see it differently, some other guys may be seeing it differently unless we certain specific role. I think we're still struggling alone. So again, it comes back down to I'm the director, I'm the writer, the editor, the writer, whatever, sound guy, whatever. I think อย่าไปหมด budget นะอย่าไปจาก
Yeah, ma,
community
yeah.
support ไปเขาก็สาว rally ไปจาก community มาเลย support ไปซะ
Yeah, ma,
เลย
yeah, ma.
สาเลยสาต่อ
Yeah.
เขาชงแล้วนะเจเลย support ไปที่นะ
Yes,
เจตอนนั้นนะเจ
yes.
ไปหมด budget นะอย่าเจ for example ก็โอเคก็ specific roles นะ for example okay I want you to be the cinematographer นะเจก็เขา role เจ cinematography aspects of it okay Kong is okay guys you know Kong is our cinematographer our DP ซึ่งนะเจก็ป๊อกก็เขา role นะ
Yeah.
เจเนี่ยเลยแต่กูอยากตัว editor นั่นเลยอย่างไร or director or whatever นั่นนะเจกูเขา role
Yeah, ma,
โอเค
yeah,
ใช่ไหม
ma, yeah.
เจก็ handle ก็เขาซึ่งนะเจ I think see that's how big
Yes.
it doesn't matter where you go. That's how big productions.
Yes.
That's how they do it. Each have their own specific role. ลีนอนนะจะถกก็ตลอดจะหนึ่งจงใช่ไหม So I think we need to get to that level.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I recently started working with recently working with Itu Mohalake. I think she's more of like a director behind the scenes. She organizes teams to go and shoot videos and I got to see a glimpse of that and I like it, you know. I'm like, wow. Always call came to solo filmmaker. Yeah, you do every single thing, like lighting, camera, making sure it's on, you know, everything. But after working with that team, it really opened my eyes. And you know, I think I think my first person I bring on board is Itu assistant, and then build the team from there. Because even though of course you're using funds to pay them, but at the same time, order you in your you're just now focusing on your role, and if you only have one role, you're gonna get it right.
Yeah. Now as far as the visual part of it, visual presentation, you know, ไปรู้ community นะย่อไป small ที่ไปรู้ market มันไม่จะ usually like for example people do flyers, posters, you know, they somehow basically slap it together, you know, for example ว่า concert เต้นได้นะย่อ concert เต้นได้เรา slap together, you know, a poster as long as it has the date, the title, the singer, put the headshots in there, blend it together somewhere. So that's when you look at it, visually it's appealing, then it's look good. So what do you think of Pelu community if you have to kind of like push yourself up a little bit further? You as a graphic designer, I don't do a lot of graphic design, but I just do it for fun or do it for friends here and there. But you're more professional at it at that. How important is it for our community to put that aspects of it into it instead of it slap together? So share a little bit on your thought on that.
It comes to standards. I think for me, like shout out to Lauj too. You know, Lauj, my Law. I've back in the days when I was growing up, when I was in middle school, and I was using the internet. At that time, and then he started to design CD covers for Paradise, and he started to do magazine, and then I started to look more into him, and that's when I thought to myself like, wow, how can he stand out by himself, and wherever I go, and I see something, and he has some sort of signature on his work, even till this day. I'm like, hey, that's him. And for me, that really inspired me too to set standards for myself. And that's because you look at other people and you're able to respect them for what they do, so that you create standards for yourself to be like at that level. And to me, I think oftentimes the way you do something is the way you do everything. And when it comes to design, when it comes to visuals, I believe that when you're putting a poster, for example, like a concert poster, people should look at it and know that, wow, if I go to that event, it's going to be that quality, like that flyer. Because you know, I'm not hating or I'm not disrespecting. 90% of the flyers that comes out online, it's not up to standards. It's still like living back in the 1990s in and this is 2025. You know, this is 35 years later in And when you do something, and a lot of it also it comes to funds, right? Some people they're not willing to invest into like a nice poster.
Yeah, I think we have to have standard. I think standard is really important. Evenly thinking back, evenly to picture or picture simple movies. And yeah, for me, you can consciously think that okay, I have to put certain level of quality, certain standard into it of filmmaking. Yeah, after I made the movie and sell it, people have to when they watch it, they have to kind of like at least get a sense that oh, okay, this guy understands how to make a movie. And I think that translates into whatever we do as far as whether we are creating a flyer or we are doing music or whatever it is. So I think, but you know what, Kong, I think we have to flood the market with quality stuff. I think that's really important instead of letting, whatever. Well, I mean, however they wanted to do it, it's fine. But at least pay more standard. I think we have to flood social media or whatever events. Pay flood with quality. Once people get used to it, they're like, oh, okay, this is the better way.
Yes.
A better way. There's a better way, and this is how you do it.
No, exactly like you said too, is like what we see on our news feeds, social media is like you're feeding people, and yet if we feed more good content, we feed more quality stuff, people will be like, oh, that's the new standard, Maybe call this mindset of like
Right.
you're just kind of like this standard, it's like, oh, anyone can do it, but it was the standard, But I think that's one thing too. I think we have to start to acknowledge. I think you have to acknowledge that and be like, wow, that's standard. How do I surpass that? And not take 2 steps back. So I think one thing is supporting, the second is acknowledging and giving people the respect that they deserve for their accomplishments or for something that they create that that wow, that's going to change the Hmong community.
Now back a little bit to music and concert regarding concerts. You've organized especially Thai farewell concerts. What is the future for bigger concert? Or in that I mean to make it better, so we have a better experience instead of like. I mean, I'm not putting anybody down, but instead of more unison, the acoustic is so terrible, So how can we move beyond that, the banquet hall settings, and then into a really nice setting? What do you see?
Yeah, when we did that concert with Thai's farewell tour, it goes back to the point that we talked about while going filmmaking. You need a team. You need a team that have standards. You need a team that can work together. You need a team that they only play one role. And to me, the success of that concert series, I think we did 5 or 6 shows, was because we had an amazing team. We have that time we had two brothers from Michigan, Yes and Jean Blanc. They played a big vital role too, because for their part. They organize, and it goes back to the funds. They found the funds. They used their funds for the tour. And then on the music end, you have my brother Shu, who did all the music arranging, and he coordinated the band, and he handpicked the band to play, and he made sure they practiced, and he made sure that everything sound good. And then the band itself, each of those guys, they were just handpicked because they were talented. They were some of the greatest musicians in the community. And number one is that they didn't have an ego. And then
that's important.
Yep, it's very important. And then me on the other end, I did all the design, marketing, and more of like the behind the visuals during the events. So I play multiple roles when it comes to the creative side and the marketing and design side. And again, the team, we had to set our egos aside.
Yeah, you're right. I think we need a team. Doesn't matter what, unless you have a good team and a team who knows what they're doing, you should work out. So yeah. Now, what about the future for Hmong music? For Hmong music, for filmmaking in whatever genre, whether it's just simple music video or feature films and graphic designs, for more professional level. What do you see the future? Are you optimistic that what? I think ไปจะเราอีหลีกว่าจะ age นะที่จะอะไรตัวไทยตัวนะyeah, and we're gonna slowly phase out ได้ใช่ไหม Are you optimistic that there will be a future for music and filmmaking and it will be better?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I see a bright future for all of those. But they know I'm optimistic. Like I'm grateful to see so many creators and creatives and people who are still enjoying the art. But I think that once you use that first wind and you but how when you start you're so motivated, but there comes a point where it's like, dang, there's no money in this, or like I'm stuck because I don't have funding. Now if that's the problem, then it's just a matter of finding a solution for it. It's that simple. It's problem solving.
Me too. I think I am a visual storyteller, so I always look for content that are different. I mean, I guess I think you're the same. You automatically look for something different. When you're a visual storyteller or you make those kind of content. So we import yourself and a few others that are up there. In the Pelu community, that gives me a lot of optimism, a lot of hope. I think, you know what? Pay more generation, 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 OG generation, and then you guys come up here, and then the next generation they will up here. That I think that's how we progress. I'm optimistic as well. Thế và bây cũng như bỏ bây này chợt lối cho những một tàu rong hàng này visually nó chỉ it's different. Perhaps you draw inspiration from the first generation and then you create your own. And I would encourage you guys to do the same too. Don't get inspiration from them and do what they do. You do it. You create your own style. Serve as inspiration. So style create I think that, and then that's when you become you. When you become you.
No, you're absolutely right, because even for me, creating music with my brother Shu, we borrow a lot of our ideas from the generation before us. That's why a lot of our music, the more elements were generally music you go to the parties back in the 90s and you hear it. We borrow those elements, and if you take a look at mainstream music in itself, a lot of those elements are still borrowed from previous generations. And sometimes people forget that the best ideas has already been done. You just got to take it and then put your own spin on it and introduce it to the next generation. And that's the reason. That's the same way I see art, graphic design, and I see music videos and filmmaking too. And that's why I love watching a lot of old classic movies from in the days, because I borrow a lot of ideas from that people don't see anymore in this generation. And we have to draw inspiration from each other. And you're exactly right about that. Even though you're moving forward, don't ever leave what's been done behind. You have to embrace it too.
And for myself too, I'm doing my style, but at the same time, I look at your stuff, your graphic design, your videos, the videos that you did, and you more inspiration from that. You draw inspiration from that. And, you know what? That's a camera shot that I have not thought of before. For example, small things like that. Or how did he color the color grade that he used? Even subtle things like that. We draw. You're right. We draw inspiration from each other, and then we take that and we create our own. That's really important. But the important part is just you make it your own. And then you can make it better, or you tell your own story. Style. We draw inspiration from each other. I think it's important. So from there, I think it comes back down to standard. You, the creator, the content creator, or the filmmaker, you have to have standard. That's really, really important. Well, I'm just gonna put together something and then just put it on.
Yeah,
As soon as
yeah.
I mean, most anybody can do that.
Yeah,
you
no,
know? Yeah.
absolutely. It's like, yeah, we're all creators, but at the same time, it always goes back to like, it always goes back to what's your purpose, or having a purpose, to create, or you doing it for fun. Okay, if you're doing it for fun, then maybe you don't have to have much standards. But if you're doing it to leave behind so that the next generation can learn from it, then you have to raise the bars and do something a little bit different.
Now, what about yourself? What's the future for you? What are your plans, and what are you planning to do?
Yeah, I think for me right now, I've been thinking lately. I think once I finish some of these projects, I would really like to get back into music. It's something that I feel like I put behind me for a little while now. Do you more about Goxiong that my brother and I we kind of took a little break from music. I feel like these past 10 years, I've written a lot of songs and a lot of unfinished songs too that I would like to finish and put out into the world, and hopefully it'll inspire, or it will like touch someone in some sort of way. But I think for me, I would really like to go back to revisit that music side of me, and see what I can create and see what can come out of me. Because now I'm much older, you go through different experiences, and I think music has always been a way for me to express myself and to let it out of me so I can move forward in my life. And I feel like something is stuck inside me because I have so much emotion and so much stories to tell that I don't know how to let it out. I can't do it through graphic design or filmmaking right now, and I think that I need to channel that through music. So that's, when it comes to music, that's for me. When it comes to filmmaking, my next goal is to do a full-length feature film. I would really love to do one. I think that's gonna be my next big challenge for myself.
Well, I hope you make a feature film.
Yeah. That's I would need. I was like, yeah, I would need you to play some sort of role on there too. I would love to bring you on board to play some sort of role on there too. And I maybe we can use that film and that feature as like a way to show people what we can do when we come together.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Because like I said before, I'm always looking for something new, especially though from the younger generation. Something that's fresh, something that is fresh and refreshing. Instead of the usual style back in the days. I mean, nothing wrong with that. That's even Lin Dai Lo got fresh, na.
Yeah, yama.
New take, na. Even setting is back. Let's say, for example, back in the days doing the warriors or whatever. No, it's fine, but something new, na. A different take, different. So it's more refreshing, na. So I hope. Whatever story you're gonna make,
No, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, going back to that, I think one word that I think about a lot, that I think that this word can help a lot of people when it comes to creativity, is the word polish. Polishing, right?
More polish.
Yeah, more polish. Because I feel like a lot of stuff these days I see nichi polish. It looks like a first draft. It looks like a dress rehearsal. I call it a dress rehearsal. And so you watch it, you're kind of like, it's almost there, it's almost there, but nichi polish. Right. And polishing, to me, the definition of polishing is just to fine tune the little details, to make it right. And I struggle with it too as a solo filmmaker sometimes, because you're doing everything by yourself. You're like, okay, sure, a deadline, it's got to put it out, right? But it's not fine tuned. And there are certain projects that needs to be fine tuned to meet that standard, to even let people see it and be proud of it. So polish, everything you do in life, just continue to polish it.
I think it comes back down to team again. If you're gonna get a polished film, for example, if we need a team.
Yes.
Like Hollywood, I mean, we see the films and we just go and enjoy it, but we don't know the amount of people behind it. They literally have thousands of people. Every person, from the little guy who carries cable to the guy who
Yeah,
the
right.
intern who serves coffee.
Yeah, man, yeah, man.
All
yeah.
of these, and when you read the credit just goes on for 5
Yeah, man.
minutes. You see, that's how they get that.
Yes.
And they get it to a point where it's like a machine,
Yeah, man, yeah, man.
even
yeah.
though it may seem chaotic when they do it, everything is in place.
Yes. Yes.
I hope we may never get to that point, but at least to a point where we have a team.
Yeah,
a
man.
solid
Yeah,
team.
man.
You're right. We will have a polished product if we have a team. It's just like the way 你話 concert 都睇先嘛
Yeah.
I mean 就係啲住嗨冇價啦 if you have a team.
Yes.
I mean from the casual observer like myself, I can tell that okay, this is good. This is much better. And so that's how we accomplish things. So I hope that in the future we'll be able to bring people together and do that with a good sized budget.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So I think today our conversation, a lot of it has been about teamwork, about coming together and doing stuff together like greater. Because I always think about too, like one mind is good, but when you put 5 minds together, and everyone stay within their role, like you can get the job done like in a very efficient way. And I feel like one thing about Hmong is like we are very strong. When we can bring people together and we can do something, we're very strong. But when something happens, we break off really fast. So we have to continue to stay strong. We continue to believe and trust each other. And through whether it's music, film, or design, it's that process, that you walk together, that path you walk together, that you really see that end result.
Well, final question. Regarding a role model for you or a person that inspires you in terms of music, musician, Hmong musician, lên tới tuổi inspire có.
I think for me,
if there's one person, who would it be?
For me, I would say Tuli Vaku. Yeah. I would say Tuli Vaku because growing back up in the days, my dad always played his music, and I always you could show picture home videos. His music is probably in the background most of the time. And I always see like and so I'm like, wow, that guy's pretty cool. Like he sings modern music, traditional. This is modern day music, and so I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like so growing up, you usually listen growing up, and then in 2008, my brother and I, we were going to Minnesota for July 4th. And at that time, he had reached out to see if we wanted to open up for him, and so we had an opportunity to open up for him. And since then, we became friends, and we've stayed in touch. And you just kind of never believe that. Wow, like someone I was listening to on my dad's radio in like the 80s and 90s, like now they're my friend, and once in a while we send each other a message or we talk to each other, So growing up, I think it was it was him that really made me go like wow, like his aura, it's like a aura where it's like it's a superstar, and I think for me too, I think that's where that's like borrowing ideas. It's like he was one of those guys where I was like, let me take how he does things and let me use it in this modern time. So I'll probably say when it comes to that, I'll say him.
What about American mainstream singers, musicians? Who would be on the top for you as an inspiration or as a
growing up, my sisters they listen a lot to like Backstreet Boys, and that's where I drew a lot of my inspiration too, because less on the part of them singing, but more on the marketing side and design side. So I growing up, I was only in middle school at that time when they were blowing up in like 1999 and those 2000s, but I studied marketing tactics. I studied the way they did things and how they were able to rise so fast and capture the hearts of so many fans. And then I use that through my music too. When it comes to marketing, like I'm like, okay, um, how do you hype things up?
Yeah.
How do you look larger than life before people meet you? So when they see you, they feel like, wow, you are already so well accomplished. You know, when you only have one CD. Yeah. So it was all like more like a mental psychology game that I learned from the way they did things during that time period, and then I implemented that into what my brother and I did on that scale. No? So it's again borrowing ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about graphic design? Hmong community, who would be the guy that inspires you through his design or whatever?
I would say Lar. Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
Lar. Yeah, I say Lar
Laura is the
because
standard.
yeah, he is the standard. Yeah,
Yeah.
because other than him, growing up, like I never knew that someone was able to do that for a living. You know, when I keep saying like, oh, Yang design, back on those like Hmong online days, I was like Yang design, Yang design. I always remember that logo. And then when I start to dig deeper and I start to figure out who this guy was, it was Lar, and
Yeah.
and then over the years too, I was able to develop like a friendship with him, and you know we've had calls once in a while when he's doing a project and he wants to propose it to me, or I have an idea and I reach out to him. I would say that guys like that, I know they're true pathfinders.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think without guys like that, maybe for me, I wouldn't even, I wouldn't even, I wouldn't even understand what graphic design is and the impact that it can make on the community. You know, so I think when it comes to graphic design, I'll probably say Lar. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think Laura is, even if Nimu mainstream, right? Yeah, but he can compete with any of the best graphic designer
Yeah,
out there
yeah.
because he's like his stuff is just top notch, top notch. Yeah, so he's really awesome in that. What about films? In terms of filmmaking, who's your favorite director from the lack of a better word, Hollywood directors?
I think for me, like Quentin Tarantino. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like he only puts out so many movies in so many years, but I feel like for him, he's a twist and turn kind of guy where it's like, whoa, I didn't believe, I can't believe that happened, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that for me, when it comes to filmmaking, I tend to think that way too.
Yeah.
I tend to think that way where like, wow, I never thought that would happen, but it happened. But then it's a movie. Anything can happen.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be the normal route of how a movie should end, or it should always be a happy ending.
Right.
It could, it can happen and then make you think like, why did that happen? But it made you it forced you to have a conversation,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the beauty part about his movies that I really like, and so I really like movies like his, or I really like his style of like, I don't care, I'm just gonna make it happen, and I'm just gonna, you know, make something crazy that's gonna happen right now, and it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say he's one of my top director that I love his film as well.
Okay.
Yeah, because like you said, I like his style. He's got a different, unique style. I love the build up, you know, on
Yeah.
each scene. You know,
Yeah.
each scene he builds that, and then he just give it to you, boom, you know, and then the either really violent, tragic end to it, you know. Man, I just love that style. You know, so yeah, I think Quentin Tarantino is also, I would say, my favorite Hollywood film director.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause
okay.
it's just totally different. So, but yeah, hey Kong,
Yeah.
thanks for your time.
No,
thanks
absolutely
for
no.
your time.
No, thank you. You know, I think it's an honor to just sit down and have a conversation. As we began a while ago, you know, we've known each other for a long time, and you know, I'm familiar with your work and what you've done and your contribution to Hmong films and standards. And no, and when it comes to Hmong filmmakers, I like. I'm not saying this just because we're having this conversation right now, but you are my favorite Hmong filmmaker growing up. You know, because I got to see movies from a different lens. I get to see these ideas where it's like, well, it's modern time, and it doesn't blend in with the rest. Huh? So much respect and much props to you too for leading the way and setting the standards. And these days, I still go back and watch a lot of your movies from that particular time. Whether it's your own or whether it's you collaborating with like Sutal or and then it's always great to go back and look at movies, and then even though you weren't the main guy on in that movie, but the credits is Molly. I was like, hey, I know Mo.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it's good conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you for dropping by and sharing your thoughts, and good luck on your endeavor, your journey.
Thank you.
Yeah, your journey. And I'm looking forward to a lot of the projects that you're doing or will be doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Thank you so much and for having me and inviting me into your house. And I look forward. I'm sure this is the beginning of our conversations, but I look forward that you and I we stay in touch and that we continue to
definitely.
exchange ideas and thoughts on these projects too.
Yeah. All right. So 我找那就不有说的，我找那地了巩固条ของ台北我心中呢，就现在那有报道呀，做ของที่ไป做กีฬานะ呀，你做กีฬาที่ไป做กีฬาที่ว่า music ที่ว่าแต่ยัง video 里ไป你บอกไป说的ว่านะ我找你เรา巩固แล้วนี่เขาจะต้อง subscribe นะล่ะเฮ้ย you know ป้า subscribe ตัวกูเขา channel นะที่เขา follow กูที่อย่าแต่กูมั่ว content share 里อย่างนั้นล่ะนี่ที่里บอกที่อย่าอย่าลืมเดี๋ยวลีนอซื้อว่าเจ้านะเฮ้ยเป็นมาเลยชิ้นจีนตัวหรือเจ้าตัวหรือได้ video